All right, we're doing it. ZCam.
We're doing it.
We can't. I want to start this video with like throwing something, but I don't want to throw your camera.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah, but I get that urge to throw stuff.
I was like, this is the one video you get my self-control on.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to throw your shit.
Well,
but I really want to. This is new, Charles. What'd you bring today?
This is new, but should we welcome everybody to us being gone for a long time?
If they're even watching, we're back. It's been a break. We've been doing some things.
We were working on a couple shows. We did a Netflix show, and then we did a Paramount Plus show.
I was like, it's some real things. We've been busy.
We apologize. Here's proof. We'll throw up some pictures so you can see.
And if you're not following us on social media, you should, because we post a lot of BTS on Instagram. So if you want to see what it's like behind the scenes on these big movies, sometimes we're not supposed to, but we post
some stuff.
Post some stuff.
Yeah.
But Charles on set brought this camera. He's like, look what I got in the mail. And he like runs on set, and at lunch we were playing with it, and I was like, we gotta do Tech Tuesday. So we're here. Charles brought something sweet.
New ZCam E2 F6 Pro.
This looks familiar. We saw this at NAB.
Yeah, so if you watched our NAB video, we talked about the ZCam. We met with Kinson, and we had a good chat with him about what this camera was capable of, and so we got online, pre-ordered it, and it came in the middle of the Paramount Plus movie, and so that's when I brought it to set and just had to check it out and play with it for a little bit.
Did you order this before NAB, or did NAB confirm your purchase when you were there looking at it?
I knew I was gonna order it before NAB.
So you went there knowing to get eyes on it and like that you're already gonna order it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's dive into it.
Yeah.
What's new? I know the body looks bigger. There's a lot more buttons. I'm seeing a display screen. It's looking a lot more like a Komodo.
It is very similar to a Komodo. So you Komodo users out there could be a little jealous. Maybe a little. I don't know.
Why would I be jealous? I think first off, though, full frame.
Full frame, so there's a little bit of reason to be jealous.
That's why I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Like, first and foremost, I'm like, well, you can actually use all of our lenses.
Yeah, our full frame lenses cover the full frame sensor, which is exciting. That's the reason why I love the ZCam. There is no option out there on the market right now that is a full frame cinema camera under like, I don't know, $10,000?
I was about to say, I was about to repeat you. I was like, you should say that again, because there is not a full frame camera on the market. I think the cheapest is 15, the VRAP, or what's Red's camera?
No, the Sony FX9 and the FX10 I think are full frame.
Are they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they are. But they cost more than, I think they're right at $10,000.
And is that just for the body?
It's just for the body, yeah.
Because this kit, as it stands right here, battery, transmitter, EVF, lens,
nucleus.
You're probably sitting at 10,000.
Yeah.
Total.
But that's like, we're shooting movies.
That's this. Like, you're shooting something.
You're transmitting to your focus puller. Your focus puller has a focus unit to pull. Like, it's kitted out, right?
So that's something I think you should really take into consideration if you're looking into a camera like this. Komodo, you're 10 to 15,000 once you're kitted out.
Right.
Well, I guess that's kind of in the same price range.
Similar price range.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a little bit more though, because it's so the E2 F6 Pro ZCam is $4,000 right out of the gate. You get a monitor with it.
You get the monitor with that.
Yeah, it comes with the body. Whereas like a Komodo, you're looking at $6,000 for just the body with no monitor.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty impressed. $4,000 for a body with a monitor right out of the gate has got my attention.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So let's go through, we'll talk about the body and what's new and what the changes are, and then we can dive into the menu system because we're doing an in-depth review of this camera right now. So as you guys can tell right off the gate, like Scooter mentioned, it's a new body. And something that we have added to it is this active cooling. So they made the body a little bit longer, and they've added a fan with some bigger heat sinks that you can see on the inside of there. And we'll talk more about this a little later in the video. But that is the biggest difference in this, is that yes, the body is a little bit longer than the normal E2 F6 to accommodate for this active cooling.
First question, I hear the fan.
Yeah.
Are there settings to turn the fan to high, medium, low, on,
Yeah.
off?
That's a great question, and yes. Right now it's set to auto, which means when it's not filming, it's super loud and it ramps up the fan to like do as much cooling as it can. And then when you hit record, the fans go down super low, so that way there's no fan noise when you're recording.
Which is a similar feature on most cinema cameras.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's awesome that they have those features built in. And then you can set it up however you want to too. You can set it to super low all the time. You can set it to high blast, like full blast all the time.
Have you turned it off and ran the camera to see how long you can run it till you get a temperature warning?
I have inside, and I never reached the temperature warning inside.
That's pretty
Outside,
impressive.
if the sun is baking onto it, then yes.
I mean, that's obvious.
Which, yeah.
You
But
ever
yeah,
sat in a hot car all day?
yeah.
It's
So
obvious.
depending on what you're doing, like if you're in the winter time, you could just set it to low. But I mean, honestly, like why not just leave it on auto and let it do its thing?
Yeah, and I remember like we were shooting a winter movie, middle of snow, and we just turned our fans off completely because it was so cold. We didn't want to deal with the sound.
Yeah.
But it's, I think, a little more situational based, but good to have the options.
100%. Now moving around the back, we have a V-mount or V-lock battery plate that's built into the camera.
So is the camera V-mount?
The camera is V-mount.
I mean, I was very, not to jump around too much, but I was very impressed with how you could order different lens adapters. For $100, you can screw on your own lens adapter. And I
Exactly.
was like, great. Why don't they offer that onto the back
I
with
don't
gold
know.
mount or V-mount?
I don't know why. I mean, we do know why.
We do know why.
If you need to, here's a link to our V-mount versus gold mount.
Can we tell a story real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
When we're at NAB, so we were talking, I don't remember the gentleman's name. He was a representative for
Yeah, one of the
ZCam.
reps.
And we were getting into it, and I didn't know he was a rep. Like, Charles was talking, and I just walked up, and there's a million things going on. And someone said the camera's V-mount, and I'm like, F V-mount. And like someone from ZCam comes like walking up there like, why is V-mount bad? I'm like, dude, V-mount sucks. So I was just like bashing on it, and all of a sudden he like gets out a piece of paper and a pen and is like writing notes on all these things I'm saying.
We basically like did our V-mount versus gold mount video like
To him,
and I feel like we had just filmed that video too.
and I was like
it was
hot
fresh
on
in
it.
our minds.
So I apologize, but to my point there, just give the option, because
Give the option, but
gold
you know
mount's
what?
better.
It's kind of nice though that they didn't have it on there, because now we have this V-mount to gold mount adapter that's giving us 2 more D taps.
I see that. So you're
Two
kind of
more
using
power
it
outs.
as a power distribution.
Yeah, and because like for me, coming from a cinema camera, I like my EVF, and obviously we need to have some kind of transmitter. Unless you put the transmitter in that's like little carriage that goes between the gold mounts, how else are you going to power it? And this only has 1 power out on the front here, which is pretty cool. So right here on the front is an auxiliary power out to power the nucleus, and so that's 3 power outputs that I need to like make the camera be a cinema camera. And yeah, so the V-mount to gold mount adapter helps us in that.
I'm very impressed. Right off the bat, I'm like, I see a lot of attachment opportunities. I see a lot of button placement where you'd want it. Explain to me what this, like 1 through 9?
Yeah, so
There are 9
there's
buttons?
actually 10 or 13. Sorry,
oh,
there's
wow.
13 buttons on this camera that are programmable. You can make them do whatever you want them to do. And 13 is a lot of freaking buttons. I don't have every 13 button mapped because I don't know what to do with them.
I was about to say, like, in my head, I could think of, solid like 4 buttons I would use, but
Yeah.
great to have the option.
So you have 3 buttons here on the side, or 4 buttons here on the side. You have 2 buttons here on the top next to your record button. You have 3 more buttons up here on the top. And then you have 4 buttons down the side of the monitor.
For someone who maybe doesn't know, what would you program those buttons to be? What are some of those options?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with this camera, we also have the electronic built-in ND filter. So you can END up or END down, ISO up or down, color temperature up or down,
Log footage.
log footage off and on, to switch between your LUT. What else? That's probably it.
Probably exposure index.
Yeah, but that's all on
But
the
that's
touch
all on your
screen
monitor.
as well.
Maybe you could switch between frame rates. Would you set
Oh, you probably could. Yeah,
set
yeah.
one for like 23 and maybe a slow motion button?
Yeah.
So
For sure.
if you're maybe one-man band shooting, that's something I would set up on my camera's quick slow motion button.
Yeah. So it's freaking awesome. Like that was one of the things with the old body that people requested was more buttons, and then ZCam listened, and they implemented that into it for us.
I see a lock feature. Is that so when you hit that, no buttons are active?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. And then if you want to look at the top here, these buttons are the same as the older body style, as well as the LCD screen is also the same as the old camera. So those things are still there and they haven't changed. The menu system on the small LCD screen is exactly the same as well. While editing this, I realized I had forgotten to go through the menu system. And so we're going to do that real quick as well. So this is the screen, the monitor that comes with the ZCam F6, and we'll just go through it. So up here, if you have lenses with readouts, your f-stop would show up, your shutter angle will come up, and it's set up like I don't know, like a lot of monitors are that control cameras. You have your ND here, which you can control 1 stop, 2 stops if you have the END module in there. And then you have your white balance. You can set it to auto, manual, incandescent. We always try to keep it on manual and then dial in whatever color temperature you want. You can also do color matching. This tells you the temperature of the sensor, whether or not your Wi-Fi is on, and your battery voltage. And then here is your camera resolution, your frame rate, if you have variable frame rate on or off, so you can switch through your different speeds, whether or not you're recording. There's also a red bar that shows up around the whole thing if you are recording, how much time is left on your media, what codec you're filming in, and what look you are, or what profile you're shooting in. This brings up your tools. Now this, it looks to me like they actually set it up like an Adamus Ninja V with these types of tools. It looks very similar to the Ninja V. So you have your waveform monitors, you have zebras, peaking, you frame guides, and then let's talk about the LUTs. So this is very interesting. They do have some built-in LUTs that you can go through. That's what this little file here, let me go to this one and then click on the file, and then they have built-in LUTs, and you can preload into any of these buttons here a LUT if you would like to. You can turn the LUT off and on, and this is their Z-Log to film look, which actually does pretty good. And then let's go through the menus. So here you see you have your quality of your ProRes, because as of right now you have your encoder, which is ProRes 422. Hopefully this changes to some sort of RAW something. You can have a pre-roll, record frame indicator. Like I said, that's the bar that goes around the top. You have your time lapse, variable control, crop sensor, low jello if you want to, and then how often it is doing your split durations. It breaks each file up into 30-minute segments, your camera ID, and what name of the reel you are on, and this is where you would format your card. The next page over, you have your time code, and you can reset and adjust those things. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. You have your audio controls. You can adjust how much your gain you're doing, which mic you want to input on, and all that kind of stuff. Your image, So this is where you choose your flicker hertz. If you have an automatic focusing lens, this is where you can set up all that stuff, your ISO and how fine you want it to be. You can look through those things, your SDI and HDMI control, what you want to send out over SDI, whether you want the screen displays to show up, what resolution it is, all those kind of things. Connectivity, so this is where you set up your Wi-Fi and how you want to connect to it, whether it's through the phone or through the Ethernet jack, and what kind of protocols you would like on that. And then also if you want your power output out the front, like we have the nucleus hooked up to, time code, USB, what, you know, just those kind of things. And then here is the system, English, time, gives you more readouts of information, whether or not you want your front or rear indicator lights on. So there's lots of options here. This is also your time settings. And then this is super cool because this is where you set up those 13 buttons that we talked about. And this is how you program each one. So F1, you click in here and then you can scroll through all the options of what you want it to do. And I'll go through that a little slower so that way everybody has an opportunity to check out what you can program each button to. And then the next page over is a couple more things that you can choose for if you have a front grip on it. So real quickly, that is the rundown of the touchscreen. The colors on it are actually like really good. They're really pretty decent. I'm a huge fan of it. It works. It does feel kind of flimsy and a little plasticky and cheap, but I mean, for $4,000, it's a pretty good deal. And then on the back, we have two Wi-Fi antennas now. Kinson was super excited to show us that. You have a Wi-Fi antenna in front, and then you have a Wi-Fi antenna in back.
Why would why would that be great?
I guess, so the older camera was having issues with connectivity to your phone. And the new Wi-Fi system, as they have it set up, is insane. The latency between the phone and the camera is like, it's very minimal. Yes, you can see it, but I'd say it's on par with the Komodos.
I think you're saying you could pull focus.
You totally could. Like, it's that
good,
fast,
yeah.
you know? And like, I feel like you can do that with the Komodos as
People
well.
are arguing that you could. Some people were pulling focus off of the app itself, kind of using the iPad or iPhone as a monitor.
Yeah. It's an option.
Me as an AC, that kind of makes me cringe.
Yeah,
but
I'm not saying that I would.
I see it.
But you could. You know, it's that fast.
Which is always a good option, because when in doubt, if something fails, to be able to lean on an app, transmitter goes out, your focus unit goes out. If you have an app to be able to do all that right there, I've seen it work. I've seen it get someone through a day. So, and
something that I like and that we do with the Alexas, the Aries cameras, is that when we take this and throw it on a Steadicam or on a gimbal and it's super slimmed down, you lose this monitor and you lose a lot of your functionality because you're taking the monitor off. And so when it's on a gimbal or a Steadicam or like the Trinity, you can connect to it on your phone, which we do all the time with like Arri cameras or whatever. And you can control all of your settings and look at an image as the AC needing to change things on the fly.
That's a good point. I was actually kind of wondering on your original ZCam, without the monitors, or without the monitor on top there, if you lose this guy, you're kind of...
You have to come in here and push all these buttons, right?
And hope you're guessing right, or be looking at your phone. So
yeah,
that's pretty nice.
So it's a cool option to have.
Okay, well, I gotta ask what everyone's probably thinking. All these features are great, but it's a 6K camera. What's the frame rate? What can you do? Can you shoot some slow motion? Is it...
You can, yeah. It does 60 FIPS at full frame 6K.
Okay.
So that's open gate.
That's pretty good.
It'll do, if you step down to 4K, it'll do 120.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you're not getting that 240.
No 240 that you get from the Red.
But, I mean, it's a solid camera. If you're shooting
pretty dope.
4K at 120, I mean, let's be honest. It should get you through what you're trying to do.
It's pretty good, you know, unless you're doing, like, blowing up stuff.
Unless you're shooting, I would say...
It's very specific.
action sports, you may want something with a little higher frame rate.
Sure.
But if you're shooting cinema stuff, commercials, music videos, all that,
Yeah.
I would never shoot more than 120.
No,
So
it's great. I mean, most of the time we go to 60 anyways, so it's like 120 is more than enough.
120 is more than enough.
Yeah. So let's keep going around the side. We have a 4-pin control cable. We have link. We have headphone. We have an external microphone plug-in.
And then is that just a USB-C power?
Yeah. So, and that's pretty cool too. Is not only do you have this USB-C to record to, like you can record through.
Oh shoot! So you
Through
can
that, so
do
you
an
can hook
SSD.
up an SSD to it and record to SSD if that so be your desire.
So you really could make like a little mount, hook up an SSD right here,
Yeah.
and then shoot to like a 2 terabyte SSD and be shooting all day.
Yeah.
So maybe talking heads, documentary stuff.
Which let's talk about that too right now. So what's dope about this camera now is that they actually have a locking door on here. It's not a piece of rubber anymore. And when you unlock it, I don't know if you saw that green light go off. So it's green, it's locked. You open it up, the green light goes off. So it knows if the door is locked or not locked. And then you have 2 options for media. I guess 3 if you want to count the external SSD. You can use CFast cards, which are kind of a standard, and everybody has these, which is great. And then there's a module inside of here
Oh, that's cool.
to hold your CFast cards. And so what ZCam has done is they've come out with their own media, and it's called the Z Blade. And they have 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, and 4 terabytes.
Okay.
Um,
Price point.
Price point. Now this is where
I have to
it
say
gets
that
amazing.
with cards though, because red, great. I'm spending 10 grand on the body, but I'm also spending 10 grand on media.
Yeah. So CFast, right? These suckers are like, for a 256 gig card, I think the cheapest that I've ever found it was like maybe $500-600 bucks.
I was like, they're pretty pricey.
Right? Usually they're around $700 for a 256.
If you're getting the
Like
high
a decent
speed,
one.
yeah.
A decent one. Z Blade, and I don't know right off the top of my head, I think the 1 terabytes were $300. The 2 terabytes were $400. Maybe 5. I can't remember exactly. But we're talking cheap here.
I'm looking at the camera like this is
4
questionable.
The 4 terabyte was $1,000 or close to it.
Oh,
Just under $1,000.
okay,
for 4
ZCam.
terabytes.
That's got me wondering. I wanna put that to the test because that seems extremely cheap. But everything I've seen from ZCam has been nothing but quality. So
Yeah, they're thrown down. And what else is cool about the Z Blade? You guys can check this. I know I'm close to in the numbers because we haven't gotten them yet, and I just pre-ordered a couple of them. They also have a USB-C plug on the back here, so you don't need a special reader like you do with the Arri or Sony cameras. You can pop this thing out of the ZCam and then just plug a USB-C into it, and you're ready to go. Like you're downloading stuff.
why haven't more companies thought of that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing, and the price point is mind blowing.
So realistically, we're just making it like one of our SSDs that we use here all the time,
Yeah.
and they're essentially making that, but in the camera.
Yep.
Or you could run one outside the.
The
I'm
options,
impressed.
Yeah,
I'm
It's
impressed.
like you can literally do whatever you want. If you don't want to spend money on new Z Blades and you have a bunch of external SSDs, you can record those.
Is that what they call them? Z blades.
Z Blade, yeah.
That's a good name.
If you have CFast, you can just use those instead, or you can buy the new Z Blades and use those. And I would say if you're looking at buying this camera, I would buy at least the 1 terabyte Z Blades because you're getting the speed.
For the price, why not?
Why not?
I'm like,
It's
I w-
amazing.
yeah, you're gonna want it if you're on set. If you know what it's like holding hot media in pockets and dealing with that and losing media, if you've ever done that, it's worth a few $100. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Charles. I'm pretty sold on the ZCam. At first, I was a little skeptical. When you had your original ZCam, I had the Komodo at the time. I wasn't sold at all. I liked it. It was cool, but
It was cool It gave us the full frame option, but
Yeah.
it was missing a lot of stuff.
But I'm impressed with this. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions on it.
There's a lot to go into on this camera. So we have the reason why they came out with the Z Blade instead of just using CFast. These guys top out at what, 600 megabits per second.
Yeah.
The new Z Blade can do 2,800 megabits per second. Maybe it's 2,500 megabits a second.
It's like 5 times faster.
Yeah, there's a reason why, right? So we now have active cooling, and we now have way fast media. And so my brain goes, well, what else can this camera do? Supposedly it's the exact same sensor as the old camera. We
But
have
they have the fan.
we have updated electronics inside of it. So I have a feeling that this camera can actually do more than just the codecs that are into it, which is right now is just ProRes. So I think that this can record some form of internal RAW, and that's why we have a fan, and that's why we have faster media that ZCam is putting out.
Sounds like you're maybe hinting something, Charles, but I'm not here to deny nor confirm.
Neither am I, and I don't know. I bought this camera. I don't know what's going on with ZCam, but if I was to guess, I would assume that there is going to be some form of RAW something coming out into this camera. We might have to pay for that, which ZCam, if I have to pay for a RAW license for my
Take
camera,
my money.
take
I'll throw it at you.
Like if it's $1,000, a $5,000 full frame RAW that shoots RAW, like
I'm sold.
I'm giving it to you because there isn't anything else out there in this price point still, even if I had to pay $1,000 for a RAW license that can touch that. And that's a game changer, you guys. Game changer.
I'm excited to see what this can do for just like the up and coming filmmakers to the people. They use this on the new Tom Cruise movie.
They did.
Mission Impossible. This was their action camera. They had like 8 of these rigged on a car. Charles was
like
sending
15
me
of them.
Charles was sending me videos. He's like, "Look at what camera's rigged on the car," and I'm like,
It's pretty cool.
It's there. It's doing its job. It's in the field. It's getting shots. We're seeing it in movies, guys. So if that doesn't show you that this camera can do it, maybe we can show you that this camera can do it, but it's there. And I'm excited to put it to the test. Z Camera also has a lot of... Is ZCam the name of the company?
Yeah.
Because I see that they're making lights and other things too.
Yeah, so they also have their product line of Zolar lights, which are also like pretty freaking amazing.
I was about to say, and we... Not hinting too much, but we have one of those lights coming in-house for us to play with because we're there. We saw it at NAB.
Yeah.
Like we saw this camera and we're like, we have to have it. So things to be looking forward to.
Sure.
I can't wait to see what else these guys come out with.
Yeah, we're gonna shoot a TV pilot on this camera in the next couple weeks, so please stay tuned and we'll show you footage from that show when we get it.
I'm not promising anything, but I could maybe see this camera being in my arsenal of tools. I'm interested. Another one. That means there'd be 2 here. That means we both have one. It's cool, guys. Great
cool.
job.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. There's a few things we didn't talk about. Maybe we'll go more in depth in like the menu system, SDI, all that stuff. Another video, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.
And if you have questions, like, comment, subscribe, throw them in down below. We'll answer them. I totally mixed that up, didn't I? Like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do.
Comment,
just do the thing.
Like, and then subscribe.
That's a lot to do, but if you do it all, we love you. Thanks, guys.
See ya.